Hey folks, welcome to FiddleHed Fiddle Lessons. Today we're going to learn reading waltz rhythm. So we're going to learn how to read things in 3/4 time and 6/8 time, which is actually jig time. And this lesson is part of the Note Reading for Fiddlers course. I'm trying to help fiddlers around the world learn how to read music in addition to play this thing. Learn how to read sheet music a little bit, and it will help you to learn the tunes you love. And just so you know, my basic philosophy on this is that you don't have to learn how to read sheet music, but it can help, okay? But if you do want to learn sheet music, I strongly recommend you first develop a foundation of playing first, and then you move on to reading what you've already learned how to play. That's the basic approach we'll take. We're going to use some games and some very intuitive approaches. So let's get started with this right now. So we're going to look at the screen video of the lesson page for reading rhythm 2, reading rhythm 3. So I've already done lessons on reading quarter notes, which are these things here, half notes, and then eighth notes, okay? And so in this lesson, we're going to build on that. It's kind of like learning math, but hopefully more fun. But we do build on things. And before we worked with, in the first two reading rhythm lessons, we worked with 4/4 time, also known as common time. Now we're going to do 3/4 time, which is what is used in waltzes. Things like Blackest Crow. 1, 2, 3, 2. All right, or even Happy Birthday is a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so very useful. 4/4 time is really the most common time, but 3/4 you'll find quite a bit in folk music and fiddle music. And so what 3/4 really tells us, it's not really. Anyway, I'll just say that what it really tells us is how to count and how the counting of a tune is organized. So for 3/4 tunes, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's kind of a nice accent on the 1, all right? Whereas 4/4 is 4 quarter notes to a bar and is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So let's just look at a simple exercise. Exercise 1 here, and the first thing I'll point out is that every note is a D note or an open D. So I started with something simple, so you can just focus on rhythm if you're not having a whole bunch of different notes. Just focus on the rhythm of something. And throughout this lesson, you'll see that we'll do this for tunes too. We'll figure out what the rhythm is independent of what the melody is, okay? So let's see. So I'm just gonna play this exercise, and I just encourage you to read along as best as you can, and if you don't get it, that's fine, but the process of trying to listen and look is what I call intuitive note reading, and if you just keep doing that, your brain will naturally figure out how to read sheet music, even without my explanation of the rules. So I'm going to count in 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Starting over. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So all the exercises I'm going to give you are 4 bars long, but if you don't get the whole thing, just focus on 1 bar. So try to just master. Almost any of you watching can probably master the first bar. It's just 3 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 1. You don't have to say that. You don't have to count out loud. And then getting that, we'd move on. This is micro practice or deliberate practice or incremental learning, the basis of FiddleHed. The next bar is a half note plus a quarter note. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, put the first two bars together. So we get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And in that way, you can move through any exercise. Now, if you get really stuck, let's go down to it. So here's that exercise. It's broken into two parts, notice, 1A and 1B. First, try to read what you find in 1A, and if you're stuck, go and listen to it. So let's listen to 1B. You'll notice a kind of bell sound at the beginning of the exercise to kind of signal you that it's beginning again. So go. It might take a minute for it to load, so then you can take this time to.
1, 2,
okay, here we go.
3,
2, 3. Just look at it and read along. And now it starts over. Notice the bell. And then maybe now I'll try to play along. So what I recommend you doing is one way or another, figure out this exercise, how to play it. Get pretty good at playing it. I mean, I don't mean perfect. Good is better than perfect. Just be able to play it, okay? And then challenge yourself. Go back to without the audio. You don't even need to switch it actually, but I created the exercises this way and arranged in this way to encourage you to, at first glance, not use the audio, okay? But if you need it, use it, because these are all just tools to help you, okay? So basically now try to read that without the audio. All right, that might be really hard. In fact, that's the reading and playing at the same time is the hardest step. So let's take a look at this. These three steps that you see in the screen video, the first step is you learn to play something without reading. The next step, so that's what we already did. The next step is you read it without playing, and you can use a play along track to just sort of look and listen. So I can just let me start it over, but
1, 2,
just
3.
I don't play at all. I just look and listen. This is step 2. Till it starts to make a little bit more sense. You may need to stay on each step for a little while, and then the last step would be to do both at the same time. And then after you do that once or twice, go back to just playing that thing, okay? Because that'll allow you to have a good sound again. You'll notice that as you start to learn to read, your sound will probably get worse. That's totally normal. It's because you're not paying attention to your sound. So this step, when we return to the first step of just playing without reading, allows you to put your attention on the sound, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, please ask a question, and I'm gonna move on. So I'm gonna move back up to higher up on the screen and talk about dotted notes. So if we look at this first exercise, the last note is a dotted note, and that gets 3 beats. It's a dotted half note. And let's talk about dotted notes. When you put a dot to the right of the note, then that adds half the note value. So a half note is 2 quarter notes long, or 2 counts long, 1, 2. Half of that is just 1, so we add that to get a 3 count note, 3 beat note called a dotted half note. And I've got a little chart for you. So look here. A dotted half is equal to a half plus a quarter, but it's also equal to 3 quarter notes, all right? And that always adds up. If we're doing 3, 4, we always want to add up to 3 quarter notes. Is this starting to make sense? If not, don't worry, it will. even if the terminology still sounds like gobbledygook to you, just continue to play with the exercises. Let your brain find its own way. You'll get this in time. All right. So now let's look at a dotted quarter note. So a dotted quarter note would be a quarter note plus an eighth note. Eighth note is half the length. So again, a dot adds half the note length. So there we go. And another way to think about that, that would be 3 eighth notes. These first 2 eighth notes add up to 1 quarter note, like that. Fine. And so I'll just say that in fiddle music, you'll mostly encounter probably all 3 of these to this roughly the same frequency. Mostly probably though the dotted quarter note. And then the last one is the dotted eighth note. So that'll add a 16th note to an eighth note. And so in an earlier lesson, reading rhythm 2, I go into half notes and 16th notes. In reading rhythm 1, we talk about just quarter notes and eighth notes. So, and then this could be written as 3 16th notes. So if this is starting to sound like high school math and it's bringing back those nightmares you had of high school math, don't worry. Just again, let the intuitive process take over. I'm explaining it because a lot of people think differently. People think differently, and some people are they want to know the rules. They really want to figure it out. Some people are very mathematically minded. And if you're not, don't worry. Just rely more on your ear and on the visual pattern of the music. That's intuitive note reading. Okay, so that's roughly a rough explanation of dotted notes. If you study this chart I made, then I think it'll start to make sense. The other main thing we'll go into is 3/4 is a time signature, and 6/8 is a different time signature. It means 6 eighth notes to a bar. So if we look at this first bar, we have 6 eighth notes. These are all open D again. This is exercise 11, which happens below. So I'm just going to play through this. And again, if you're unsure, just listen and try to follow along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so just a couple things I'll talk through with this. Look at the first bar. Where is that bar repeated? Take a look at the other 4 bars. Okay, it shouldn't take long to see that the first bar is the same as the third. So this is a relatively simple example, but in tunes, which are typically, A part 8 bars, B part 8 bars, once you learn 1 bar and you're reading sheet music, the next thing you want to do is say, is this repeated? Go look everywhere else in the tune. Why? It makes it easier for you. It's like once you learn one little thing, it becomes the key to unlock the rest of the tune. So why go down the path of trying to figure out every bar when you've already figured it out? So it's just kind of like a little mental trick you can do. So now we can read half this tune. We can read bar 1, we can read bar 3. Let's look at bar 2. Those are quarter notes which are dotted. Now, by the way, somebody had a question in one of my office hour sessions about, well, what if the dot is below the note? And that was a good question because I think that's confusing. A dot below the note means something totally different. It means staccato, which is this. It doesn't mean a dotted quarter note. All right, so the dot, when it refers to extending the length of the note, will happen to the right of the note. Okay, so here, each of these notes is going to be counted 1, 2, 3. Why? Well, let's go down here. We have a dotted quarter note, which is equal to a quarter plus an eighth, or 3 eighths. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully some light bulbs are going off. So that second bar of bar 11 will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, here it is again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now the last bar, bar 4, is a dotted half note. Okay, and so that's going to be half note plus a quarter note, or equal to 3/4 notes. It would probably be good if I redid this and said equals 6/8 notes. That would probably be helpful. So basically, okay, another way, I'll just, without doing a whole new video right now, I'll just say that this bar, which is a dotted half note, is the same as counting wise as these 6/8 notes. So, or another way to say it is that they're equivalent in time length. So 1, 2, I'm going to do bars 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully that makes sense. So depending on what our time signature is, here we have 6/8, so we would count that last bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We go up back to our first example 3/4, which ends on a dotted half note. That would be counted 1, 2, 3. So this may be confusing or this may be enlightening. In any case, just hang with it and you're gonna get it. You'll probably get it much quicker than I did. I'm a very slow learner, and a lot of this I didn't have the benefit when I was learning of having audio tracks for each little thing like I'm giving to you. I had a really good teacher and I'm really grateful for that. But when I was learning, I just didn't have the scope of tools. I didn't have videos with you can see and tunes broken down into each little part. So you have an advantage there. I do know that it is hard to learn without a teacher. If you're doing it on your own, much respect to you, and you can do it. Just hang with it, keep doing it, and I'm doing my best to support all you guys and find ways to have more office hours and trying to work on new things like that. But anyhow, got off track there a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to just work through a few more exercises, talk through them. Exercise 2A. So this is kind of an essential one to show you too. So just looking at it, the first 2 bars are all open D, and then looking at the last 2 bars, these are Fa-Do-Do, the part of the tune Fa-Do-Do, the first quarter. And that sounds like... Alright, so what I've done here is I've taken that rhythm from Fa-Do-Do and translated it to just an open D string, so you're just hearing that rhythm. And now listen to how it's the same rhythm as Fa-Do-Do. This is like a separation of tasks to help hopefully make sense to you what's going on. So now I'm going to do the whole exercise. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So you can do this on your own with anything. If you're like I still do this, if trying to figure out a tough rhythm, just play it on an open string. It may not help necessarily, but I think it can help you get things. Another similar trick is to clap the rhythm. So we have, that's the rhythm. A long, short, long, short. Do, 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 do. So I'll start the whole thing over. 1, I'm going to sing it and clap it. This might be hard for you, but if you can do it, then you've really got it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, do, 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 do. And maybe let's do that. Here's an idea for you. Do it with the play along track. Singing and clapping is going to be hard. Just clap. So do that with, I just thought of this, but do that with all these if you can. And it may be harder for you than actually fiddling it, but if you can clap the rhythms, it's really going to help you to more deeply get this, okay? And you can do this on any tune. So the next few exercises are all different parts of Fiddle. Exercise 5 is from Blackest Crow, and I use the same learning strategy here. So the piece, looking at the bars 3 and 4, the piece is that's from Blackest Crow. All right. So without even knowing any, if you already know the tune, you're in good shape. And if you don't, that's okay. So here it is again. Now if I just do the rhythm, which is the first 2 bars, we get this. I'll do it again. 1. Notice that the key signature is 3, 4, so we would count it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, and now let's just do it with the full exercise. So part of the intuitive note reading process is to basically go between playing, reading, and playing and reading at the same time in whatever order works for you. All right. So let's pretend you already know this bit. You've learned this bit from Blackest Crow elsewhere. And if you haven't, then just go take a lesson using tabs and figure it out, or use the note finder at the bottom of the page to figure it out. So sorry for the fast scrolling. So if you ever get stuck with reading sheet music on FiddleHed, just notice that I've got everything laid out, all the note names in different ways, how the notes for D major, G major, and then all the notes, which is the chromatic scale. All right, but anyway, getting back to our example, which is here, let's say you've already learned how to play the first chord of Blackest Crow. What we could do is play this exercise once, then just read it, and then do both at the same time. And you may need to play with this order a little bit, but here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Blackest Crow. Just play, don't read. All right, so I didn't really do the process well there, but whatever works, okay? Take the intuitive approach. You may just need to sit here and listen to it and watch it a whole bunch. And remember, when the cowbell happens, it's the beginning of the exercise. And the more you do that, the more it's just gonna sink in, okay? Let me know if you have questions. But yeah, the rest of the exercises are, exercise 6 is more from the Blackest Crow. Exercise 7 is all on the D string. It's more of an abstract exercise. Same with a few of these next ones. I think there's some more tune ones down here somewhere. Let's see. Anyhow, here we go, Kerfunken Jig. So, and then I have the full sheet music for you too. So I think that's a good start, and I'm going to do a follow-up lesson in reading rhythm 4. We're going to talk about dotted notes more, because it's a tricky thing to get. It's easier to hear dotted notes than it is to read them. Keep that in mind, and probably true for all rhythm. It's easier for people to hear it than to figure it out based on reading. So, but yeah, in the next lesson we're going to do dotted notes, but in 4/4 tunes, and kind of play with that. And we're also going to do triplets. So thank you all for watching the video and for your questions. You've definitely, the feedback I've gotten has helped me to develop this course in a good way, and in general, the whole course. So really grateful to all of you and the kind things you're saying, and I just hope you keep on fiddling. Okay, see you soon. Go to FiddleHed.com for a progressive, step-by-step course outline, color-coded tabs, play-along tracks, sheet music, and much more. Thanks for watching the video. Excellent! And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.